It presents water entry and survival techniques, a training program designed to increase your odds of surviving an emergency situation when, as a last resort, you are forced into entering the water. Working in the offshore oil and maritime industries presents a number of risks due to the volatile mix of nature's most violent elements in close proximity to man and highly flammable and toxic byproducts. No matter how many safeguards are in place, if it comes down to a life or death predicament, there is a chance that you will have to utilize water entry as your only means of survival. With proper training and knowledge of survival equipment, your chances of successfully mastering the ordeal and being rescued are greatly enhanced. One of the most important items that all workers should be familiar with is a life jacket, also called a PFD, which stands for Personal Flotation Device. Of all the items introduced to you in this program, the life jacket probably has the greatest record of saving lives. There are several types of PFDs used worldwide in conjunction with the oil and maritime industries and the vessels and aircraft that support them. Their design and construction has been standardized by international conventions such as SOLAS, Safety of Life at Sea, and is enforced by the Coast Guard and other international shipping and aviation authorities. The U.S. Coast Guard categorizes PFDs into 5 types. We'll take an in-depth look at those devices most commonly found throughout the offshore oil and maritime professions. This Type 1 offshore life jacket has the greatest required buoyancy and in an emergency is easy to don. It should be equipped with reflective tape and light for being seen at night and a whistle for being heard. It is designed to turn most unconscious persons in the water from a face-down position to a vertical and slightly backward position. It should maintain the person in that position under normal circumstances. The Type 1 is best suited for rough bodies of water where it is not likely that rescue will take place quickly. In cold water, these life jackets will dramatically increase survival time due to the excellent flotation they provide. A Type 3 PFD is intended for calm inland water where there is a good chance of quick rescue. A buoyant cold weather parka or jacket is a Type 3. The Type 4 PFD or throwable device is not a life jacket but a life buoy, ring, or cushion, which is designed to be thrown to a person who has fallen overboard. A conscious victim can grab hold and stay afloat until rescue arrives. Often, these brightly colored rings are equipped with a self-igniting strobe light and a heaving line. The Type 5 PFD is a special use device designed for comfort and wearability. This Type 5 work vest is used quite commonly on commercial vessels, offshore installations, around docks, and even by the Coast Guard when performing their normal duties. Whatever type of PFD you use, it should be tried on first out of the water, being sure that you know how to attach all ties, clips, and fasteners, as well as in the water, checking that your head is kept adequately above the water surface. Whenever flying in a helicopter over water to an offshore installation, you will have to don an aviation-type life jacket. These life jackets, also referred to as Mae West, fit over the head and do not contain buoyant material, but rely on an inflation system to provide buoyancy. When placing the Mae West on, be sure to fasten the waist strap securely to prevent the life jacket from riding up around your ears while in the water. All straps, clips, or fasteners should be secured, tightened, and tucked away to prevent snagging. A sharp tug on one of these inflation tabs releases CO2 and inflates one of 2 compartments on the life jacket. Only one compartment is needed for flotation. However, to maximize any self-righting capabilities and to keep the head and body as far out of the water as possible, inflation of both compartments is recommended. Oral inflation tubes can be used to add or release air from both compartments. Pressing the valve in at the end of the tube will let air out. An aviation life jacket should never be inflated inside an aircraft, as it would prevent you from escaping an underwater abandonment situation. In an emergency, if there is no time to don a PFD before having to abandon your vessel or offshore installation, it is advisable to bring the life jacket along with you and then put it on while in the water. There are several simple means of donning a PFD while immersed. In each method, you should begin by maintaining contact with the life jacket spreading it out with the loose bottom material facing you while untangling all straps. The technique shown here is the roll-in method. And the next is the crossover method. With any method, once in, begin securing the PFD with the top strap first, then the bottom, and then hook the middle. It is essential to fasten the life jacket as tight as possible in order to keep it from riding up over your head and to provide adequate flotation. When working in areas of the world where cold water is a life-threatening factor for even short-term exposure, an immersion suit is required. Immersion suits are also referred to as survival, exposure, or abandonment suits. They all refer to a one-piece protective garment designed to provide flotation and thermal protection in cold water, where personnel are at risk from excessive loss of body heat and the onslaught of hypothermia. The definition of hypothermia is a significant decrease in the body's temperature starting at 95 degrees Fahrenheit or 35 degrees Celsius. This occurs when body heat is lost at a greater rate than that which our bodies can produce. Water transfers heat from the body 25 times faster than air at the same temperature. In cold water, heat is removed far faster than the body can replace it. To prolong survival time in cold water, it is necessary to prevent the loss of body heat. That is the job of the immersion suit, which is designed to reduce thermal shock upon entry into cold water, provide flotation for the wearer while in the water, delay the onset of hypothermia during immersion in cold water, allow personnel to perform abandonment procedures. Basically, there are three types of immersion suits. The first is an aviation suit, which is used when flying to and from installations via helicopter over cold water. The majority of aviation suits have a thin layer of foam for insulation and buoyancy, but do not provide adequate insulation alone, requiring several layers of clothing to be worn under the suit. The second type of suit is used for abandonment purposes. These suits are constructed of materials which incorporate enough inherent insulation to provide wearers a great deal of thermal protection and buoyancy, as well as hoods and gloves for additional protection. And the third type is an anti-exposure work suit. These suits are for everyday use on board vessels and installations where exposure to low ambient temperatures, wind, rain, and heavy seas can be found. They are not designed for continuous use in water. However, in an accidental immersion, their thermal design could save your life. To maximize their thermal protection, all closures should be fastened tightly to reduce water flow-through and its heat-robbing effects. Individuals should be aware of the operational use of an immersion suit and where they can be found for rapid deployment in an emergency. Several checks should be made prior to putting the suit on. Any damage such as rips, tears, or faulty zippers will dramatically reduce effectiveness and will very likely cost you your life. During drills, all deficiencies should be tagged and reported immediately to supervisors for corrective action. Immersion suits are designed to be properly put on within 2 minutes after having read the donning and use instructions. Each manufacturer requires different donning procedures. However, they all generally follow these steps. Be sure warm clothing is on. Dump out the immersion suit from its bag quickly and spread it out. Remove shoes if necessary and put on extra socks for insulation. Since it is very likely your installation will be listing or rocking, sit down on the deck and pull the suit on as you would a pair of coveralls, entering the legs first and then your arms. If there is a coworker nearby, you may benefit by helping each other out in this process. Teamwork saves lives during emergencies. Tilt your head backwards and pull on the hood by inserting your thumbs. Close the zipper, making sure there are no obstructions in its track with a slow, even pull. Squatting will allow excess air to escape, resulting in a better fit. Secure the rescue harness and check for other available attachments such as gloves, buddy line, light, whistle, and auxiliary buoyancy. Put on gloves if they are removable. Once in the water, inflate the auxiliary buoyancy pillow or chest flotation. If a rapidly developing emergency dictates that you enter the water immediately, bring the immersion suit along with you and then get into it once in the water. Although this may be very difficult, the additional thermal protection the suit offers is a far better option than being without protection of any kind. If an immersion suit is not available and you must enter cold water, personal items can be used to create a wetsuit effect. Although not as protective, this will extend and increase your chances of survival. Begin with many layers of warm clothing, preferably wool, and end with a slicker suit-type outer layer. This also includes hats, gloves, and boots. A Type 1 PFD must be worn for flotation, as heavy clothing may tend to weigh you down. You should never evacuate your installation or vessel until it becomes absolutely necessary. Before abandonment, you should take the following actions. Know what the alarm system is signaling. Remain calm and quiet. If you panic, you will not hear, see, or be able to follow directions. This is the benefit of drills and training which have prepared you for this moment. Gather extra clothing, a Type 1 PFD, or an immersion suit if available. If possible, report to your station and follow orders. Determine your route of escape. If you must abandon, your choices in order of effectiveness are a walkway to an adjoining installation, a support vessel or helicopter, an enclosed lifeboat, a davit-launched light raft, and last, a water entry. No matter what your choice, always move forward as time is precious. Look out for yourself first and then assist others. Avoid putting yourself in the water. Only if all else fails should you consider entering the water. Rule number 1 in a marine emergency is to stay dry, and if you get wet, to get dry as soon as possible. If after careful consideration you have decided to enter the water, get down as close to the surface as possible, preferably less than 10 meters or 30 feet to avoid injury. If it becomes necessary to enter the water while wearing a Type 1 PFD, the following step-off procedure should be used. Remove false teeth, glasses, and any sharp objects from your body. Remove your hard hat, as a chin strap could cause injuries upon impact with the water. Use a ladder, net, or rope to lower yourself to a safe point of entry. If jumping from a vessel, enter the water from the bow, stern, or weather side, depending on the wind and waves, so that the vessel will drift away from you. Look down and check that everything is clear below. If not, attempt to move to a position which offers a better path. Block off your nose and mouth with one hand and place the other free hand and arm over the top of the life jacket, latching on with a secure grip. This helps position and brace the life jacket for impact with the water. Standing straight up, look directly ahead, focusing on the horizon. Step off, taking a big step out away from the structure. Stay erect, keeping your legs and feet together or crossed. Only when you have surfaced and are floating on your back should you release your grip. Then, using your arms as paddles with legs still, move away from the danger area. If you have a spray hood or hat, place them on immediately. If you have the good fortune of having first been able to don an immersion suit, be sure the suit is fully zipped and that all closures, including those over the mouth and nose, are snug. Leave the external flotation bladder deflated until you are in the water. Follow the same procedures as with a PFD, removing any sharp objects such as false teeth, glasses, or pens. Take one arm and firmly grasp the opposite shoulder, and then take the other arm and lock down the first arm while protecting the face with your hand. Check the area below, and again look directly ahead at the horizon. Step off, staying erect, and keep your legs and feet together or crossed. Once you have landed in the water, turn on your back, keeping your legs straight, and use your arms to swim away from danger. If other survivors are in the water, attract their attention by blowing your whistle, and then move together to form a survival carpet or chain in an effort to stay warmer and be more easily seen by rescuers. A survival carpet for personnel in immersion suits allows the group to ride out high-breaking seas, increases the group's visibility from above, allows a hypothermic disabled to ride on top of the carpet, reducing exposure, and positions the group such that the entire horizon can be searched for potential rescuers.